are into February, which means that we are getting to the end of time to make your RSP deposit for your 2020 tax return. So we wanted to do a little overview of what an RSP is, just in case there's anybody who is questioning that or, isn't quite sure what they should be doing during this time. And then we will also do a little bit of an example and kind of give you some tips on how you can use your RSP to your best advantage. So Steve, can you break it down for us? What's an RSP? What does it mean?
Well, and I found through experience that a lot of people misunderstand exactly what an RSP is. It's on its face, it's actually very, very simple. An RSP is just a bank account. That's all it is, right? Like any bank account, it's got its own special rules. So a checking account, everyone knows what a checking account is. The special rule for that is I get no interest, I get to pay fees, and I get to pay things by check. Maybe nobody does that anymore, but that's what the rules are for a checking account. A savings account, the special rules for that are I put money in there and I earn a little bit of interest. Now, you actually used to earn some interest. It's very little now. It probably doesn't cover the fees if there are any on your particular account. Although there are high interest rate savings accounts out there where you can earn, maybe 2.5% in today's world, which isn't bad compared to a normal savings account.
Right.
An RSP account is just that. You put the money in that account. The special rule is the banks have an agreement with the government that if you put money into that account, they issue you a slip that allows you to deduct that deposit against this year's income. Yep. This year being, as long as you make that deposit before February 28th, 2021, you can deduct that against last year's income.
Right.
Another special rule is that if you take money out of this account, the banks are going to withhold some of that money for income tax and remit that to the government, and they're going to issue you an income slip.
Right. So you're deferring your tax till later when you take the money out.
That's right. RSPs don't save tax, they defer tax.
So once you put the money in there, though, you can make an investment decision. But this is something that we talked about before that a lot of people maybe don't know. You don't have to do that right away. So right now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get my money in my RSP so I can have that deferral for this year, but I don't know what investment decision I should make, you don't need to worry about that right this second, right?
Exactly. That's the third special rule of an RSP account, is that once you put the money in there, unlike a checking account or a savings account, you can make an investment decision. But as you note, Riley, many people don't realize that those are separate transactions and separate decisions.
Right.
By putting the money into the bank account, into the RSP bank account, you get the tax deduction. No investment decision has to be made in order for you to get that tax deduction. And in fact, in real terms, you never have to invest the money if you don't want to, and you still get the tax deduction. In practical terms, what that means is that if you feel that you don't have time right now to meet with an advisor or to do the investigation to make the investment decision that you want, but you're looking for the tax deduction, that's okay. Get the money into the RSP account, you get the tax deduction slip, and you can make the investment decision at a later date when you've got the proper time to make sure that you're making a smart investment decision.
Right. And then the other thing that's important to note is that there is a penalty if you over deposit in your RSP. So if you go over your limit. And so what's your kind of thought around that? What should people do?
Oh, it's hugely important to check with your notice of assessment, look at the tax return that was produced last year. You can go online through my account and see exactly what your RSP deduction limit is. Do not go over it. There is a bit of variance there. You can actually over contribute by up to $2,000 before penalties kick in. I wouldn't recommend that. Only go to your limit, and because the penalties do become huge. The penalties are another reason why you don't want to have RSP accounts at many different institutions, because it can become difficult for you to track potentially how much you are depositing. And if you do go over, again, the penalties become quite heavy. I've seen people get thousands and thousands of dollars in bills, all because they put away more money in their RSP than the government said they were allowed. So it's something that you want to make sure that you are in line with.
Right. So you're better off to choose an institution that offers the investment opportunity that you want and maybe just stick with one.
You make a good point there, Riley. Depending on where you open your account is going to drive the investment decisions that you can make. If you open it up at, a bank, that might give you different investment options. And if you open it up at an investment brokerage house, that would allow you to buy stocks directly, where a bank may only allow you to buy mutual funds. So we're not saying just one account. You might want to have one or two, depending on your risk tolerance. You might have a plan at work that deposits into an RSP account for you, and you want to have a separate account that you can control. Those are okay. But what we advise against is having, 3, 4, 5 accounts at different institutions. Just creates confusion all along the way. So one or two should be all that anybody really needs to make sure that they're making the best investment decision possible and that they're staying within the limits that they're able to deposit.